Well, hello everyone and welcome to my review of The Order of Vampire Hunters. This is a game by Dark Gate Games and it is a 1 to 4 player. So let's actually have a look, shall we? We'll start off with the rulebook, and as we turn over the page we have contents. Love contents. A little bit of background here and there. We also have the ways of how to play the game, which is pretty good. It's got solo rules for 1 player, games for 2 to 4 player, of course, and campaign play, cooperative and competitive. Here's the game components, which is what you're going to be seeing, and some of the cards. Yeah, just some of them. If I keep turning the page, we'll have more of this. And on this side of the page, it gives you well, some information on what these cards do, which is pretty weird, but okay, fine. I'm fine with that. I mean, find out what's what just near the front. Okay. But it doesn't really tell you everything, just like on here as well. I mean, yeah, it's nice to have something there that tells you what's what, but it just doesn't show you everything. And then there's the case of it doesn't quite repeat itself in the main book, so that's kind of a downer. But we'll get into that a little later. The setup is pretty simple, and the rules summary is also pretty simple. In fact, all of these rules are pretty simple as well. Hunter activation, everyone gets 3 activations. 1 activation is to move, you move up to 2 places. Another one is attack, another one is search. It's all pretty basic. I mean, yeah, and even it has the line of sight icons on the tiles itself. Tells you about how to attack. Here's the symbols. I mean, it really is pretty easy and simplistic. Is the time as well. No, seriously, it is all very, very simple, which I quite like that. And when we get into the game options, we'll have the advanced rules. I would always recommend reading the Extractor, because the Extractor is actually more or less important in the game-ish. I've used him a few times, so I mean, it says even in some of the missions that here's Pete, go ahead and use him. Or if you don't know how to use him, then what's the point? There's also rules about having some combined attack cards. We'll get into that a little later. Turned hunters, which is where your hunter becomes it's like vampire. Yeah, your hunters can become vampires themselves. And the game modes as well, which is all nice and all. You don't actually have to read all of these, but I would recommend reading at least some of them. I mean, Pete, definitely. Maybe some game modes if you want to read solo mode. I would also recommend reading the campaign parts as well. It's like gameplay in standalone games versus campaigns, and also adjust difficulty, which I actually like. That's in the book, so you don't have to work things out of how to make the game a little bit easier or difficult. I wouldn't recommend making it difficult, because this game is actually very hard and challenging. This book comes with 2 campaigns, which I like. Campaign 1, Campaign 2. And you can easily do Campaign 1 and then carry over of your skills and equipment into Campaign 2 as well. Or you could either start with campaign 2 then go to campaign 1. I like that. That's really good. The maps themselves are pretty simple. I like how you have these little, there you go, symbols right here to tell you what's what. That's that. The more information down here, which I quite like. I mean, seriously, it's actually really simple to read and understand, and to set it up. That's how much I like this. It's definitely a good book. The only downside is that, like I said, some of the symbols aren't actually repeated in the main rule books itself, so you have to go ahead and look into the front just to find out what's what. That's the only downside, which is kind of only the small change bit. Hey, also on the back you've got a little bit of a summary as well. I want to point out that there are 4 player dashboards and 1 timer clock. The dashboards are pretty nice. Well, they're not really boards themselves, they're just little light card really. And there's 2 sides to them. Most of the time you're using this because that's what the book tells you to use. If you're playing a campaign, you might get a chance of flipping it, so you could get just 1 more inventory slot. That's all it is, inventory. This is the clock, so you have the day and night. Vampires are asleep in the day, vampires are awake and going straight towards your hunters during the night, which makes it a little bit more challenging. So you want to deal with them in the day. Thing is about this one is I'm moving it with my hand, and it doesn't really move all that well. So it's moving now, but place it down and then it becomes a little bit more harder to move. That's because it's not double-sided, but there you have it. I like that. I mean, that's really good. It's like less slippery on the board, which is good. The game comes with 6 big tiles and 2 small tiles. These are double-sided. So I don't want to talk about the line of sight. This is the line of sight. So if you have line of sight from there to there, you can actually see and shoot at vampires if you want. This is a wall, so when it comes down to it, you don't have line of sight to there. Unless there's a specific door that's here that is open, then you'll be able to shoot for it. It would say if you have a door there or not in the mission booklet. So yeah, these tiles are very interesting myself. I think they're all pretty good actually. So yeah, 6 double-sided. You have 2 double-sided of the small corridory tiles. They are both exactly the same, as noted there. So the game comes with a number of tokens. I'm just going to show you just a few of these. We have some health here. We have some oh dear, I've forgotten what they're called now. Well, let's just call these experience point tokens, which you can spend to gain abilities, using abilities. Yeah, you use these to buy abilities. You buy an equipment. You can also swap them out to redo some equipment. I'll get into those later. Anyway, you get like what was it, 3 punch-out boards, 2 of them being exactly the same. So you kind of always get these spares, as it were. But oh well, here you go. These are the doors, which I find them really weird. They're like, that's open, that's closed. You can tell which is closed because of the black border line. So okay, it's a bit weird, but that's fine. It's fine. This is an armor which you use twice. You go hit once, flip it, hit again, you lose your armor. Then any more damage goes to your health. just pretty easy. It's pretty simple. I mean, seriously. These are a bit weird, as you're supposed to have a 1, 2, and 3 of these. It'll tell you where to place these, and you're supposed to randomize them. It's a little bit difficult when it's double-sided. That becomes a little bit hard to do. We'll come up to some of the bigger cards now. We start off with some of the reference cards. It's always nice to have some reference cards. We'll also have some combined attack cards. Combined attack cards are actually really interesting to put, because you always have them, no matter what, and they're always faced up. So if I just face up just the first card, like with me, you pay its focus. Yeah, that's what the blue things were. That's called focus, which you spend to activate skills and combine attack cards and a lot of things really. And you just kind of do it. I mean, yeah, this is good. It's like you have a success. If you're successful, then it's done. If you fail, then bad stuff happens. Normally with combined attack cards, you'll have like up to 2 hunters to do 2 different things. So like clear shot, for instance. I mean, this gives an attacker to reroll 1 dice. It says the active hunter may make a ranged attack on a vampire while an inactive hunter is on the same area. So what happens is one of the hunters is kind of just moving out of the way, so the other one can get a better shot, or it is just a reroll 1. It costs 2 focus, and the way to get focus is to kill vampires. Yay! And there are other things as well, but it's mainly vampires. And yeah, rewards. It's like sometimes that both of the hunters will get the reward, which will be more focus, or not. I have used some, and sometimes they're alright in certain occasions. I mean, if you really need to kill these vampires, go for some of those combined attack cards. Speaking of vampires, we have these. These are the basic vampires. We've got the day side, which is pretty easy, you know, pretty simple, and we have the night phase, which they become a little bit more harder because I have some abilities, and sometimes some stat is a little bit different as well. The stats, I do say some. I think it's actually the up here. We also have 2 Eldars in the game box. Eldars are kind of scary. They're like mini boss vampires, so watch out for them. And then we have the boss himself, which is Lord Kothas, and it's double-sided as well, so yay. Scary, very scary. Right, what next? We also have the hunters themselves. The hunters, yes, you get 4 available hunters in the game box. If I zoom out just a little bit, there you go. I don't know why I didn't do that right at the beginning. I could have done that. I don't know why. So, 4 hunters. They are pretty simple. They also have their own starting weapons. I mean, most of them is just a stake, well, a wooden stake, and a crossbow, but some of them are a little bit different. Let's have magenta and Stephen. Stephen has a different type of an ability right there. Oh jeez, is my camera out of focus again? So yeah, you use up one of the focus, and you can actually get +1 to hit on all borrowers and giant bats, while magenta doesn't have that one. She can reroll 1 dice. And they have the both exactly the same, so 3 dice, 4 to hit. That's pretty simple. Their crossbows. Oh, there you go. Well, magenta's only got a range of 1 to 2, and Stephen's got 1 to 3. Magenta's only rolls 3 dice. Stephen has 4. Magenta hits on a 4+ though, and Stephen gets a 5+, and yet again different abilities. So this is all quite interesting. I mean, the only person that doesn't have exactly the same is Joshua, who has a flamethrower. Good old flamethrower who rolls 6 dice. How fun is that? Yeah, and they all have different abilities as well. So, for example, let's pick Joshua. So it's like, once per turn, vampires in your area do not impede your movement, as vampires make it a little bit more difficult to run away. And you also have some abilities that stats right here. Well, these are more like the task ones that you have to deal with. Let's just have a look at Sarah. So she has something slightly different with her stats right there, and she got a different skill, which is an action. So once per turn, if you're in an area with another hunter, either you or that hunter heals 1 wound. So they're all different, have some slightly different variety of starting weapons, and I think that's really neat. We'll come up to the smaller cards now. These are the encounter cards. It's pretty simple. You get a small amount of these cards, which are level 1s or level 2s, and you just place the, well, whatever's on the card in the exact numbers where it is on the board in every single room. That's a simple encounter. I mean, we can also have a quick look at the activation day cards. These tell you what they do during the day, whether it's going to be a level 1, 2 or 3. It tells you in the mission of which ones you should have. When I say which ones, I actually mean the ones that are, well, have certain amount of random 1s, certain amount of random 2s, certain amount of certain 3s, etc, etc. So, it's a little bit more dangerous during the night, I can guarantee that. We'll also have some terror cards, if I could just pick them up, which I'm having difficulty for some strange reason. Nice selection of terror cards. These are for the Eldars. When you attack, you do a terror event. Sometimes during the activations or encounters, they tell you to do a terror event card. Anyway, there's also some item cards. Item cards are simply using a search action. You could actually get that. If you spend 2 focus points, you can then turn it into a weapon or item. Sometimes it might just be a 1-use item, sometimes it might not be. 3 attacks, 4 to hit with a range of 1, 0 to 1. Yeah, that's pretty good. Of course, if we go ahead and have a look at something else that's almost similar, which are the equipment cards. The equipment cards is that you actually could start with them just before the mission begins. So these are the start of mission cards, I guess. Just normal equipment that you could actually buy with focus if you wanted to. We'll also have something else that you could buy before the mission begins, which is special abilities. So you buy the card right there, and you just have it, and you can use it by spending the focus. Pretty simple. We'll also have relic cards. Relic cards are intriguing. You're supposed to try and find a minimum of 3 just to get a relic. You need to find a shaft, a head for the shaft, and something to go with it. If you get 3 of them, then you have the relic available to you. That way it's the only way to kill lords. You can actually go up to 5 relic cards, just to make it a little bit more powerful. We also have compulsion cards. These are for your turned vampires. It's like you've got to do that. If you don't do it, you take some penalty. And last but not least, Pete the Extractor. The Extractor is, like I said, pretty simple. And this is his card. This is like the the harpoon card equipment thing, and you just like stab a vampire and people pulling out in the open, but it can only be used during the day because well, vampires just die. We now come to the final part of the going through this box, which is this box right here. So yeah, a box in a box. Well, that's pretty simple. If we open it up, yeah, here it comes. Here's the models. Okay, so we have some bases right here. It's for the hunters themselves. So you've got some ones that are the normal hunters, and the one, I think it's the red ones that are the turned hunters. So you could tell which one's which at least. 9 dice, d6s, and a special broken dice here. It's not broken, I mean some of the weapons that you actually have to roll this. If you roll this symbol, then it becomes broken. It's used, so anything that's still dead, it's dead, but you have to discard that weapon. Okay, right. Let's have a nice look at these. So we have our hunters, which is right here. Got these 4, sorry. Got Pete right in the middle. We have some thralls right here. We have warriors. And if we open up this one, we got more. We got burrowers. Burrowers. Right, and we also have up here's. We also have guardians, giant bats, and we have our 2 eldars, and we have our lord. Now it took me a little while to work out what was an up here and what was a warrior, because they do kind of look similar, just slightly. My camera can focus a bit more better. There you go. Just stick my hand in it. So you have like these little spikes on them. That's the up ears. It, like I said, it did take a little while to work out what's what. So yeah, eventually I managed to understand it quite quickly. And they're quite nice models, especially the Lord himself. I mean, wow, just look at that. That's pretty amazing. Anyway, let's carry on, shall we? Because it's the end. So that was the Order of Vampire Hunters. So what do I think of the game? Well, this is where it gets a little complicated. So I like the idea that you have to use your focus to buy stuff, and also to get new abilities. However, it's a little bit difficult just to use these abilities and items, just because I don't feel you get enough of them. And also when it comes down to the combined attack cards, I like that. I mean, but you have to spend focus in order to do so, and you could be spending about 2 focus for like both vampire hunters just to get 1. I mean, it's always difficult just for that focusing. Let me think, what else? I like the rulebook. I like how there's stuff that's actually in the front of the rulebook, so you can actually find things what they are. However, they're not actually repeated whilst you're reading the rules themselves, so you're wondering, well, I could have sworn I've seen it somewhere, but you always keep forgetting it's like right at the very front. I think it would be nice to have some kind of repeat, because there was some symbols where it was like a big X in the top right corner of some items. I was wondering, what is that? I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. I couldn't find it in the rulebook, but it was right at the very front. Okay, but I like and don't like something like that. I like the mission setup. That's really nice. It's pretty straightforward. Always random cards, so that's very, very good. I love that. love it to pieces. The stairs going under to go to the underground passage kind of thing, the secret passage or whatever you wish to call it. Well, the thing is, it's double-sided, so it's difficult to make it random. Of course, you can always just not look while you're shuffling them and then just throw them on the board, like I always got to keep doing. I don't think it was necessary to make them double-sided, though. That's the thing. Yes. Some of the missions feel like they are impossible. I mean, the second mission that I tried, I practically lost because I couldn't actually deal with the Elder as I was running out of time. It feels like you just don't have enough time to do anything. I mean, searching takes time away from action points and opening doors. And that takes away from trying to get the focuses, because you need to focus in order to just gain well, you use your spell abilities and any items that you find while searching. It just becomes kind of a chore. It becomes quite difficult, and you just don't literally have enough time. So it's definitely challenging, that's for sure. I can guarantee you that. If you keep missing, then just like if you like turn 2, keep missing a lot, or turn 3, just stop right there. You know you're going to lose, and just redo it all over again. That's what some of the missions like, especially when, like I was talking about the second mission, you have to go and kill an Elder, and it's a lot easier to kill an Elder when it's daytime and you have enough space to actually harpoon the thing, so Pete can drag it outside to kill it. Seriously. But however, in the book it does tell you to make it easy. If you want to make it easier, here's how. I would suggest doing it straight away when playing this game. Unless you really do like challenges, then you just go ahead and play it as is. I think when it comes down to getting used to the game and your understanding of what you need to do, I think you could just go ahead and play the game normally with how it's normally supposed to play. So, do I like the game? I do. Do I think there's some issues? I do think there's some issues. Just like the thing, there's not a lot of vampires tend to only give you just one focus. I wish there was a little bit more than that. Okay. The Eldars give you more, but anyway, what would I rate this game? I will have to give this a... like I said, it is a tough one and it is kind of annoying. I mean, that brings it down. I mean, 2 or 3 turns. If you keep failing, you just have to start again because you're not going to win. I'm going to have to give this a 7 out of 5. 7 out of 5? 7.5. Sorry. 7.5 then. That's the same thing. Out of 10. So, 7.5 out of 10. Absolutely. It's a tough game, but can be enjoyable. Like I said, if you make it easier to give yourself more time, then I think you'd be having a little bit more fun. If you want to have a lot more fun, just give yourself like the maximum time there is, where you can really take your time in it and just stroll along, just have a laugh and all that stuff. I call it revenge mode, but still. Anyway, thank you very much. Until next time, bye.